Highlights of this week. Ethiopians election. Ethiopia's election on Monday is almost certain to hand a new 5-year term to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. But that victory may exacerbate the growing political rift in the country, which threatens to destabilize Africa's second most populous nation. Ethiopia's electoral body suspended or canceled voting in dozens of constituencies due to what it described as unfavorable conditions and violent disruptions. Voting did not take place at all in the northern region of Tigray, which was at the center of a devastating civil war from 2020 to 2022. The region now faces mass internal displacement and renewed fighting in recent months between the federal government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF. Meanwhile, violence from the Fano militia in Amhara and fighting among federal, regional, and separatist forces in Abiy's home region of Oromia derailed voting in parts of those areas. An armed attack in a farming community in Oromia began over the weekend and continued on Election Day, killing dozens of civilians, the Addis Standard reported. Abiy's Prosperity Party, which won around 94% of parliamentary seats in the last election in 2021, campaigned on strong economic growth, which has been driven by economic reforms, such as easing foreign exchange controls and floating Ethiopia's currency, the bear, coupled with record gold and coffee exports. Officials expect a GDP growth of 10.2% for the 2025 to 26 fiscal year, a figure much higher than most of the continent. Yet Ethiopia remains fragile under Abiy's leadership. The 2022 Pretoria Agreement, which ended the civil war in Tigray, is on the verge of collapse, and there are worrying signs of a renewed war with neighboring Eritrea. In 2019, a year after first taking office, Abiy won a Nobel Peace Prize for negotiating an end to a 20-year war with Eritrea. The two countries then fought alongside each other against the TPLF during the Tigray War, but tensions have since spiked over Abiy's push for access to the Red Sea and Eritrea's refusal to withdraw its troops from border regions in Western Tigray. Ethiopia lost maritime access when Eritrea gained independence from it in 1993. Abiy's re-election paves the way for advancement of his Red Sea ambitions, which he describes as an existential imperative for Ethiopia. His push has already triggered an alliance among Eritrea, Somalia, and Egypt, which has its own grievances with Addis Ababa over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, risking a broader regional conflict. In April, the TPLF said that it would take back control of the region's government, effectively ending the Pretoria deal. Certain TPLF factions were dissatisfied with that agreement, which they believed sidelined them and obligated them to disarm, while other TPLF officials, who had negotiated the deal, secured prominent roles in the interim regional administration. The TPLF claimed that the federal government extended the interim administration's mandate without its approval, and on Tuesday, the group announced a series of administrative and judicial appointments to replace that administration. The move, which effectively creates two rival cabinets, came after more than a year of power struggles within the TPLF and accusations that Addis Ababa was withholding funds to the region. Despite all this, the Prosperity Party is projected to win in another landslide against the more than 40 opposition parties it faces, largely because its opponents are highly fragmented and lack the broad national appeal and the financing required to mount a serious challenge to Abiy's party. Ethiopia has also experienced democratic backsliding under Abiy's tenure. The government has limited independent media, harassed and detained journalists, and severely curtailed free speech, according to Human Rights Watch. The Ethiopian people have demonstrated that they do not need anyone to advise or lecture them in order to build their state and establish a democratic system, Abiy said as he cast his vote in his hometown in Oromia. These next 5 years will be a period where we see many historic turning points for Ethiopia. Yet, as one voter said, people are not paying much attention to this vote because, for them, everything is already decided. Everything is already calculated. We know the result, and nothing will change. Final results from the election are due on June 11th.